Hey guys, HardlyBriefDan here with episode 3, the October game of the month. This is Detective Dave, and we're going to continue working on some of the UI aspect here that we started last time, and then we're going to jump right in and probably start working on our our evidence inventory. There's a couple things that I want to do first, and first I want to do before we jump into doing the inventory. First, I'll go ahead and explain a little bit what we did last time, and then you might see that I've gotten rid of the locations button that we added last time, and I'm going to go ahead and talk about that as well. So last time I showed you guys that we have this new file here, or this new screen. This big case file you see here is a piece of art that I put up on the Google Drive for you guys to download. The link will be in the description. But the idea was to have this main screen be like an inventory screen kind of thing, or like your character main screen that you'll look at. This is where you'll have all your evidence. You can go to different locations here, and basically we can set this to update based on what you find. So and I showed you guys basically how to set all this up. The UI options here. I showed you how to change how to access the suspect name, age, bio, all these things within script, and I told you that we'd add these two buttons. And that's basically what we did last time in the last video. Now what I want to do today is actually change these buttons to toggles, and it's very simple, and that's why I actually have that one button gone. The locations button is that we're going to turn that into a toggle button. So when you hit it, it's going to show another game object basically that's full of be a vertical layout. They'll be full of other buttons to all the locations that we want to go to. So what I'm going to do is go ahead I'm going to highlight the case file canvas here in our hierarchy, and in the game object I'm going to go UI, and I'm going to add a toggle button here, and you see it up in the inspector. It's toggle. There's a whole bunch of different things you can do with it, navigation, and here's the same function add-on that you see with a button. It tells it what to do when you click on it. So basically we're going to be using this to say, hey, turn this off, or turn this game object on, and then it'll turn it on, and hopefully we can get it to turn off when we click on it again. So like when the toggle's active, it shows what we want, and when it's not active, it doesn't show anything. So now in our scene view here, I'm going to go ahead and zoom out a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and use this tool over here, the upper right hand button most right hand button on the upper left hand side of the screen. And this allows me to drag in the 2D space, and it shows lines and it snaps. It's a very useful tool. So I'm going to go ahead and place this here. I'm going to set its anchors to the top left corner, but I'm actually going to move them, and I'm going to anchor this thing to the top left of this case file, right? So this is just an image here, or the backdrop of our case file, and I actually want to go ahead and make sure that my toggle button is anchored to that point. So I'm going to just make sure it's in the corner. It doesn't need to be perfect. But here we have the toggle button. You can go ahead and see what's part of it. It has a background image, which is that white part. You have the check mark and the label. I'm going to go ahead and change the label now to locations. And we had like that. I'm going to go ahead and expand it. So now what we want to do is actually set the toggle button to inactive. So all you have to do is in the toggle inspector here, it says active. You click the little arrow, and so when we hit start, it's not active, right? So it's going to load. Hold on. Oh, yep, there we go. So now when I go ahead and hit it, the check mark will show up. So we want to inactive it first, because when it's active, we want to show a whole bunch of buttons. So that's what we're going to do now. So actually, let me change this to locations toggle, the name of this. So you just click on it in the inspector up by the game object. You do that, and what I want to do is add another UI game object. So go up to game object UI, and I'm actually going to go ahead and add an image. Now I like doing this just to start. It's not going to stay an image, but it's good to work with this backdrop. But basically, this is going to be what I call like a container, where all of our buttons are going to go. So now that I've kind of sized it the way I want it, I'm going to go ahead and set my anchor points again to the upper left-hand corner, just so I can see them. Can zoom in. Hopefully we can find them here. I don't even see. I guess these are the anchor points here. It's not letting me actually do them. Let's see. There they are. See, I was grabbing the wrong anchors. But basically, I want to move these anchors so that it's anchored here. All right, I'm going to anchor it below the locations button. And again, if you don't know how to do this, it's very simple. I'm just dragging and moving these little arrows that basically show me where everything's anchored on. So now, wherever this locations button moves, this drop-down menu below it will also move with it. I'm going to go ahead and delete this image. So the way you delete the image, you can keep the image, mind you. If you want to have this look a lot prettier, maybe you have an image here that you want for your drop-down menus, this is where it could be. But I'm going to go ahead and delete it because I don't need it. So remove image component. I'm going to rename this to a locations container. I like using this term. It doesn't need to be called that, but again, I like using it. So the container is actually going to have a couple components on it. The first one is going to be a vertical layout group, and this is going to allow to stack buttons in there. And then we're going to also have another layout option here. It's going to be a custom content size fitter, and we're going to constrain it to a preferred horizontal fit, I think. Maybe not. Something happened with, let's say, what's the width of this? Width is 130. So we actually might not need the content size fitter because it actually reset all my stuff here too. But that's okay. So now what we want to do is go ahead and I'm actually going to delete this content size fitter. I don't think we need it in this application. But what we want to do now is go ahead and add some buttons to this. So I'm going to add a UI, game object UI, and click button. And I'm going to go ahead and add it to my locations container. And you see the button stretch to fit, right? So that's kind of what we want. But what I'm going to do is actually go ahead and just duplicate this button. So the way you duplicate an item really fast is in the hierarchy, go ahead and highlight it. And you just hit Control D. Right? And so that adds buttons here. And these buttons are going to be used to go to their different locations. Now, you might not, we haven't actually created a list of locations, and most likely what I'm going to do is have just one, we'll probably have one main location, which would be the bank, which this is where the robbery takes place. But within that bank, we'll have a couple different backdrops, and those will be the locations. So I'll probably make this a little bit smaller. I'll just go ahead and delete 2 buttons, so we'll be left with 4. And I'm going to highlight my container and just shrink it down a little bit because it's pretty big. Now what I want to do is kind of go in here and just label these. So we're just going to say L1 for location 1. And in the text here, I'm going to change that to L1. What a smarter idea would be now is to actually go ahead and delete these and just reduplicate that one you just did. So like that. That's just so you don't have to type as much. It's up to you whether or not you want to do that, though. But I'm going to go ahead and label all these for us, get that going, and then we'll start interacting with them. Hopefully I can get it to work the first time and not have to play around with it too much. And I didn't actually save this name, so. In the L1, L2, L3, L4, these just stand for location 1, 2, 3, 4. It's pretty simple. Again, it's just kind of a little bit more descriptive for us to work with. So here we go. We have our 4 new buttons here. And what we want to do is actually just go ahead and deactivate this toggle, this container, what I call it. So what you do is just go ahead and click this game object, right? So now it's gone. You can't even see it. And what we want to do is when we click locations, we want to actually activate that. So the way we do that, I believe, is on our locations toggle button, what we're going to do is go down here, this on value change boolean. It says list is empty. We're going to go click add, the plus button, and we're going to add a game object. So we're going to go ahead and add this locations container, and we're going to say on function game object set active. So I believe now when I go ahead and press locations, it should activate. Yep. So this basically acts as a drop-down menu, and it doesn't look the best because we haven't really customized what it should look like. But everything, it's working how we want. So what we want to do now is do the same thing with evidence. Evidence is going to be a little trickier because we haven't created the inventory for it, right? And so what we want to do is create another container, and I'm going to have to look up how to add buttons for each, or I'm not sure how I'm going to do the GUI side of the evidence file yet, or evidence toggle or inventory. What I would like to do, what I usually do, is basically in the older GUI you could create a for loop that went through and created a button for each piece of for each item you had, or a toggle for each item you had. There's several ways you can handle it, or using what they call a selection grid. Maybe the game, we actually might have a selection grid. Let's see. Doesn't look like we do. I think you can set up the toggles to do that. But anyways, that'll be another video. But for now, we want to go ahead and I just want to get that up and running. So again, all you do is deactivate it within your inspector, and then drag and drop the game object locations container onto your locations toggle, and then set game object set active. And that's what we want. So now what we want to do is we can actually access all those buttons in script. And we can access them all here. So we can say, like on click. So let's say it's activated, right? And the location one, we want to take it to a new screen. Well, I think what we can do is have a script that handles that. So what we'll do is in our scripts folder down here, we're going to go ahead and open up our case file GUI. Open that up in MonoDevelop. I'll make sure to zoom in for you guys like that. And what we want to do is create a couple public functions that are going to handle these transfers. So what we'll do is say, we'll create a few. Well, we only have 4 locations. This might not be the best way to do it, but this is the way I'm going to handle it. What we'll do is we'll make a public void on click location 1. Okay, so this function is going to be called when we click the location 1. Keep our line endings. Sorry about that. You know what? I'm in the wrong script. I'm in the script for the Unity Make an RPG series. Excuse me. Let me go ahead and exit out those. Okay, so here's our case file GUI. Sorry about that. At the bottom here, we're going to go ahead and I'm just going to copy and paste this, but we're making a public void function or method called click location 1. On click location 1. So what we're going to do is call this function whenever we want to change locations. So on our L1 button up here, we can go ahead and you remember we have our case GUI attached to our case file GUI script attached to this case file canvas. So on the 1 button, you can go ahead and drag and drop case file canvas as your game object. And then under function, you go down to case file GUI, and you should see our on click location 1. So now, go ahead and control S to save. Now when I go ahead and in this function, I'll just debug a statement right now and say debug log location 1. Right? So now what will happen, should happen, is when I go ahead and click the toggle. So I'll go ahead and press play. When I click the toggle here, all these buttons will show up. And when I click location 1, we should see down here in the console, or in our console, we should see it's a location 1. So I'm going to hit locations, hit location 1. You see down here it said location 1, so we can actually check in our console location 1. So what we'll add here is a simple application load. So if you already have your scene set up, you could actually just do application dot load level, and then this takes a string, which is the scene name. So you'll do whatever, location 1 scene, or whatever it's called. We don't have that scene up yet, so I'm actually going to go ahead and comment that out. We don't need that. And now I'm going to go ahead and copy this, and I'm going to paste it 3 more times so we can do on click location 2, 3, and 4. Now this again might not be the best way to handle this, but it gets the job done. So I'm going to go ahead and change this from 1 to 2, this one down from 1 to 3. And you guessed it, for the last one we'll go 1 to 4. Like that. I'm going to go ahead and change this from 1 to 2 and 1 to 3. And we'll go ahead and just double check all this. Just make sure it all works. It should. We'll set it all up. So now on the L2 button, I'm going to, on this on click here in the button component, I'm going to hit the add button. Going to drag the case file canvas game object. Going to go into functions and hit the case file GUI, and I'm going to click on click location 2. Going to do the same thing for 3 and 4. Drag the case file function, case file on click location 3, and then 4 Same thing. There we go. Okay, so that's done. I'm gonna go ahead and hit play, and we're gonna test everything out. So I'm gonna hit locations 1, 2, 3, and 4. Close it, and in our console we should see 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Perfect. So that's up and running. That's what we wanted to do. When we go ahead and start creating the next scenes, I can show you. Actually, just to let you know that it actually is 100% working, I'm going to go ahead and call this main menu scene here for button 1. So I'm going to uncomment this, and we're going to say, let's load the main scene. Main scene, right? So now, to make sure these all load, you need to actually go to File, Build Settings, and you need to include the scenes in the build. Oh. Let's see, remove that one. There we go. Okay. So the way you do that is go to File, Build Settings, and you just drag and drop the scenes. So now I'm going to go ahead and press play. I'm going to go ahead and click that, and we should actually load the main scene now. Oh. Did I misspell it? Yeah, it's called main menu, not main scene. There we go. Control to save. Go into Unity. Drop locations, and bam. So we know it's working. That's how we want it. Or that's not how we want it, but we know that those functions are working correctly. So now what we want to do is, in our case, or what we want to do is create a new script here. And this script is going to be, we'll call it our evidence inventory. And this is going to be a list. So our evidence, and actually we're going to have to go back and work on our evidence button too. But basically what we want is evidence inventory is going to have a static class in it that's going to be a list. Okay, and it's going to store our evidence type items. So what you need to do is using system.collections.generic. Right, so this is the library that includes the list type. And what we're going to do is, let me zoom in a little bit, is we're going to create a public static, and it's going to be called a list, or of type list. And then in these little arrows, you go ahead and type the type it takes. So it could be int, it could be a string, it could be anything. In this case, we're going to go ahead and do evidence, right? So that's the type that we've created. I'm going to go ahead and control S to save. I'm going to show you. Remember, we created these two scripts, this one called evidence that has an evidence type, name, and description, right? So what we're going to do is store all those created objects in this list called evidence, or in this list of type evidence called evidence. We're going to call it evidence, let's see, lowercase, inventory. And we're going to set it equal to a new list of evidence. And I believe it needs, that might be wrong. Let me double check. Yep, okay. So you need to go ahead and add these parentheses there. I believe if you want a evidence of a certain size, I believe you can actually add a limit to the size of the list. You can also do this with an array. So, but the reason I don't like doing it with an array is because a list is resizable, and to resize an array while in game is a little bit more costly. Now these are tiny arrays; they aren't going to be anything big, but just to be, I think it's a little smarter to use a list. You could also use a dictionary, which is basically like a list with inside of lists. So it could be more detailed, and you can. It's up to you. I think list works for this case. Definitely check it out on like the Microsoft C# pages if you don't know what I'm talking about. Like, let me go ahead and load that up for you. Actually, I'll show you. So if you go on Google and you type in like list C#, you can actually come up to like a screen like this. Microsoft has all the stuff you can read about. These are not Unity specific classes or anything. These are like C# classes. So you can go ahead and go on Google and type in. You can read all about it and get all you want. You can learn what they do. There's ad. You can see I've actually clicked that before. Just reading about it, read what they do. There's tons of information in here. But these work perfect for a inventory. So actually that's all we're going to do for now. So we've created an inventory basically. And this is going to allow us to access this anywhere in the program. And we'll probably attach it to a game object eventually. Maybe, I'm not sure yet how I want to handle that. But this is going to be what we're going to access in our GUI here. So in our game view, I'm going to actually go ahead and duplicate our locations toggle. So I'm going to delete our evidence button. And I'm going to go ahead and click the locations toggle and hit Control D to duplicate it. And I'm going to change it to a evidence toggle. I'm going to change the name, excuse me, to evidence toggle. And then I'm going to go ahead in background and text and stuff. I'm going to label it evidence. Inventory, I guess we'll call it. And now what I'm going to do is in our scene view, I'm going to go ahead and drag that whole toggle button like that. I guess we'll do it right about there. This is 130. Yeah, okay, we'll make it all 130. So now what we want to do is have this set up so that it. I think I want it to do a window, so like a big window here. So what we can do is do a game object. Let's see, UI. We'll go ahead and get an image again, and this will be from here to here, and we'll stretch it. Let's do 175. That seems like a good number. Actually, let's see what our container down here. Let's see how long our container is. 100. We'll make it a negative 135. Yep. Okay. So actually, we'll make this 135. That seems right. I don't know why it's a little wrong. I don't know, we'll figure it out in a little bit. I'll make it 140. There we go. Okay. So now that we have this attached, we want to do the same thing. I'm going to go ahead and call this a evidence container. Again, this is just my nomenclature. I think it's just easier for me to read. I'm going to go ahead and turn it off because we don't need it. I'm going to delete the image component. If you want an image, a background image for your actually, we'll go ahead and keep this source image. Actually, kind of like it. I'll probably be a little more distinct. I'll change the color. We'll make it like maybe like a brown or something. Oh, that's ugly. We'll make it gray. Okay. So basically, this will be our backdrop for our inventory screen. What I would like to do is create a whole bunch of buttons in it. So what we need to do is go ahead and disable this, and on our evidence toggle we need to do the same thing we did here. See, we have this location container. We're going to do evidence container instead, and then go to game object, click the no function, go to game object, and then set active. So now what will happen is when I hit that button, it'll show up. But we have a problem here where they both show up. They'll overlap each other, and you can't click the buttons underneath. I believe what you can do is let's say, I think you can do this toggle group here. So if you want a group of toggle buttons, I believe it's a component. You go to UI layout, maybe it is. Let's see. I haven't actually played with the. I just didn't. Is it an event? No. Toggle group. I think you can go ahead and add a toggle group. So like let me actually delete this. We can play around with this just a minute. I don't want to waste your guys' time. I might have to come back on this. But basically, I think if I go ahead and say let's create another what I call container. So we'll go UI panel. No, that's big. We'll go ahead and UI image like that. I'm going to go ahead and just resize this. I'm going to delete the image component because we don't need it. And I think here, if I do a content size fitter, so what we'll do is we'll add a layout, content size fitter here. We're going to go ahead and add a toggle group to it. So go to miscellaneous. Nope, where was that? Layout? Already forgot. It's under UI, toggle group. I think now we'll call this our toggle group. Like that. We'll go ahead. I'm going to drag my location toggle and my evidence toggle on it. Oh, goodness. Evidence toggle like that. So now these are location evidence toggle are parented on the toggle group. I think you can add it here. So what I'm doing is I'm dragging the toggle group onto this toggle group button. and I think this sets it so that only one can be active. Yeah, you see how it's flipping back? Okay, so it's not working entirely correctly, but we can figure it out. So basically what I've done now is I've set it up so that these buttons work together, but you can only have one active at a time. But what we would like is, so like when I turn this one off, locations turns off, which is what we want. But we want it so that I can't actually turn them off right now. So I'm going to have to figure that one out. And I'll probably do that in another video because, again, I don't want to waste a whole bunch of time trying to figure it out. But basically, let me run down what I just did. I created another container, if you will, using the GameObject.UI image. I labeled it toggle group. I went and I deleted the image component and I added a content size fitter. We probably don't need that, so I'm going to go ahead and remove that. Let me make sure it works. Right, okay. And then I added the component a toggle group to it, which allows us to use that toggle group for our locations toggle and our evidence toggle. And now, under our locations toggle here, under locations toggle and evidence toggle, you see that there's this group here. You can go ahead and add. I just dragged the toggle group container we created and I dragged it on top of that. It's not working 100% right, and I'm not exactly sure how to do it. So we'll have to figure that out. Because it basically just won't turn off. Maybe if I just take it out of that. So let's say, oh shoot. Alright, let's try that. It's still part of the group. No. Okay, so actually the toggle group doesn't have to be attached to it. It just needs to be a group. You might be able to add more components to it under UI and mess around with it. Again, I'm going to stop in here. I don't want to keep playing around with it and screw you guys up. But basically, if you want to make a toggle group, make a empty rect transform game object. You can go ahead and add all these components to it, and that will make it so basically like an old style selection grid that's in Unity 4. Everything before 4.6. And that will allow one to be selected at a time. So now that we've added our evidence button, in the next video I'm going to figure out how to add buttons in there for our list. So basically what we'll do is we'll say okay, let's count how many is in our list, and I'll actually go ahead and show you some of this in the code real quick. We'll go ahead and create a little function here, and let me actually hit enter a whole bunch of times. So what we'll do is say like public void count or create inventory list. Let's say that, okay? And what you do is using our evidence inventory, we can say evidence inventory here, dot evidence inventory. We can get our inventory, and I think you can do dot count, right, which will give us a number. Dot count gives us, I believe it's like that, right? So dot count is going to give us a value. It's going to retrieve this number, and it's going to be the length. So it's going to look through and see how many objects, evidence objects, are in it. I'm going to create a private int up here called inventory count. It's going to create a giant, or it's going to look at that list. It's going to go ahead and count every item in there, and it's going to return a number. So if I actually go ahead and call this function at the start, let's see, we should have 0 in there. Or it might be 1. I'm not exactly sure. But let's go ahead and call that. And I'm going to go ahead and press play. And did we debug it? Oh, we didn't debug it. Let me go ahead and debug this count variable. So we'll do debug.log inventory count. Alright, and this should return a value to us, hopefully. If everything goes well, which it did, return 0. What this number is, it's saying it went ahead and looked at our evidence inventory and it found nothing in it, so it said 0. If I'll go ahead and show you, if we go ahead and create a new evidence type, so we'll say evidence temp is going to be equal to a new evidence type, like that, and we'll say inventory evidence inventory dot evidence inventory dot add, and we can go ahead and add the item called temp, and then we'll go ahead and call this function after that. So what we're doing now is we're creating an item called temporary, or called temp. It's an evidence type. it's an item called temp, and it's of type evidence, and we're going to add it using this add function that's associated with list types, and we're going to add the temp to it, and then therefore when we count, we should be able to see that it goes to 1 if all goes well. And you can actually see down there, I'm going to go ahead and pause it and go in the console. You see that we've actually added here a 1. And actually, that's a basic idea here of inventories. If you haven't created inventory before, if you're working on another project, you wanted to know how to do inventory, that's one way to do it. If all your items are the same type, so let's say you have a public class here called base item, you can actually have an inventory type or a list type called base item, and you can add objects to it. But we're going to go ahead and get into that more later. In the next video, we'll continue working on this toggle group and stuff, and hopefully by then I'll be able to show you exactly how to make this so that they'll turn off, because they're not turning off right now. But we'll figure that out. If you guys figure it out before I post the next video, post in the comments below. Please like, subscribe, and comment on the video. Tell me what you like. Tell me what you don't like. You can follow me on Facebook, Twitter, or Twitch. I like to update people on what I'm doing, and I'll talk to you guys next time.